welcome to another video. If you're new here, I'm so happy you clicked play. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit that like button, and drop me some hearts in the comments. Y'all, let's get into it. So we got a interesting story time. This is our prison series. If you're new here, I was a correctional officer slash correctional case manager for almost up to 7 years, and I decided to put together a series of 20 videos, and I think this is going to be the third video that I just started this series. When you're working corrections, you have 1,000 stories that you can possibly tell, but I feel like the stories that I told now, up to actually documenting the stories, I have about, I think, 16 down. I have 18 written down so far. So I'm kind of letting my memory, as I tell these stories and I play back and I edit it, they trigger other stories, and I'll be like, oh, I remember this time. Now, of course, we're going to change the names of different people to protect people image, because you never want to put things out there in the atmosphere and people put two and two together, because these still are people, even if I'm telling stories about inmates or co-workers. Okay, only the people that these stories about is going to listen to this and be like, yeah, that was such and such. And anyway, but I'm so happy that you click play, and I'm just telling you my experience when I was in the prison, what happened. Okay, so the name of this story, I thought about calling this story many a names, y'all. I thought about calling it 32 Stitches. I thought about calling and I think I got it wrote down on my paper as eight in the prison. Lockdown. I thought about calling it different things, but if you saw this thumbnail, you already know what the title is, so we'll figure that out. But anyway, let's get into this story time. When I first worked at this prison, I used to, before I accepted the position, y'all, I used to be on TV just watching. I remember when they hired me, I used to watch prison stuff. I mean, the Orange and New Black was out, and I was watching all these prison shows trying to get, intel and how, now my pastor actually was a correctional officer for a while. Pastor, shout out to Pastor C. And he was a correctional officer for a while. And so with him talking about it, and then my father, he was at the time when I went in, he was 15 years already doing it. He is now retired as a correctional officer. But, I would hear these stories, and then I'm watching these movies, and, you get all these thoughts in your head. So when you go in there, you got this information, but every prison is kind of different. It just depends on the people who work there and what inmates are held in there, okay? So I didn't know what to expect, and some things are real that they put in the movie, then some things are hyped up, okay, if that makes sense. So when I came in there, I thought like everybody else that it was a whole bunch of aping going on, and we got to be on on point to make sure ain't nobody getting hurt. And that was my biggest fear, walking up on somebody getting something took from them. And honey, I felt like, if I walked up on something like that, I wouldn't be right. You know what I'm saying? Didn't want that to happen. So I took my job very seriously. And I remember, talking, having conversation with the inmates and stuff like that. And I coming in that room, hey, y'all not supposed to be in here. Y'all exit the room. Woo. Back at that ass don't work. And y'all, when I tell these story times, y'all, sometimes y'all will hear me say letters for cuss words, because I don't cuss now. Y'all, I've been redeemed. The Lord has delivered me. But sometimes when I'm telling these prison story times, baby, you can't tell these story time without cussing. I'm just telling you straight up. So if I'm talking as an inmate, the inmates cussed, okay? So get over it. Don't watch one video and I'm talking about the Lord, and then you come over here and you be like, okay, let me tell you a story, okay? Let me tell you a story, okay? So anyway, so the young man, like, we would take them outside sometime. They have Rick, whenever they have Rick or whatever, and we'll come back inside, and sometimes, let's say if it rained or something, they couldn't go outside or whatever the situation, you'll do your round. When I was a new officer, let's say I've been in the game, at this time I had been an officer for about, let's say, a year, a fresh year. You know, I'm learning, I kind of know my job. I'm doing very good at it. They know I'm the police, but at the same time, you would do your round sometimes, and they kind of test you just like if you was a new parent, your little toddler test you. They would test you, you know, and that's what I used to tell everybody. You know, they'd be like, how it is working in a prison? Oh, I be like, they big dangerous toddlers, because you know a toddler is always into something, and if you don't watch that toddler hurt themselves or somebody else. So that's how I looked at it. They were big dangerous toddlers, but the difference between the toddler might get in a little fight. No, they might kill each other. So that's why I be telling people, we watching big dangerous toddlers. That's all, because they always into something, they always doing something, so you got to watch them. So I took my job very seriously. So sometimes if as a new officer, I test you, they'll be inside each other's room. You be like, hey, don't do that. You know, that's my first and my last time telling you that. And then the next time if I saw them, I wrote them up. You know, I'm not going to keep talking to you all day. Y'all grown. Y'all know the rules. Y'all are not kids. Come on. Even though I call y'all big dangerous dollars, y'all are not that. Y'all know the rules. So they knew if they saw me, don't do that, okay? But sometimes the new people, they got off the bus, the little young ones, the cool ones, ooh, you know. Yeah, you know, when they first got off the bus, they had these cocky attitudes because they just came in here and they was just, ooh. And so this particular fella that we're going to talk about, we're going to name him Inmate Derek, okay? So this is Inmate Derek. Now, when you go inside a prison system, they will tell you to call the inmates just like they call you. So my name was Officer Baker, and so they will tell you call him by his last name. I don't think nobody really called people by their last name. I heard a couple of captains that had been there 30 years calling somebody a foreman, somebody, because they knew them by that. Most of the time, people called the inmates by their nickname, but you were not supposed to do that. But that's what they known, and that's what they answered to. So a lot of people just knew them. And me, when I was up there, yeah, I couldn't imagine that. I told y'all, if you watch the first, second, or one of them, on each pod is 48 men in each room. It's 6 pods, okay? Think about how many inmates it is. Y'all, I used to name the inmates on my unit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Everybody had a name. When I first came there, I was trying to learn the last names, be the professional, and trying to learn this, trying to learn the how. I can't know that. So I named them by their personalities, okay? I named them by their personality. Now, Mr. Derek, I gave him Pretty Ricky when I first saw him, because he looked like one of the he looked like Spectacular. If you know the music group named Pretty Ricky, I call him Pretty Ricky or whatever. And so that was when you saw him, he had like a baby face. He looked like he was Chinese and black, and he had dreads, and they were nice. He had nice pretty dreads. And my first thought is when I saw him was Pretty Ricky, and they gonna get him. That's what I thought. I thought he came in, and I don't know if you ever worked in corrections, but they have a cafeteria, and if they're not on a lockdown, you have to serve them in the cafeteria, and they come get their food. But they have like a card system, just like when you was in school. I don't know, every school is different, but every school I went to, we had a little card, and you come through, you swipe your card, you get your food. Same way. And that it was a way that the prison system counted that, hey, we fed you that day. Okay, so everybody had come in, they swiped their card, they got their food. And so when the people that was new come in, you know, they looking at you like if they were at a club, or in their brain they at a club, they somewhere, they at the gas station something, and you is the girl they trying to talk to. Okay, it ain't click. Yeah, hey, this is an officer, she is off limits, don't talk to her. So they come in, and I used to hate the inmates. They come in walking all like this. Oh, what's up, Miss Baker? How you doing? You looking good today, Miss Baker. How you doing? I like your hair like that, Miss Baker. You looking real good. And you just be like, okay, give it a couple weeks. They're gonna get hold of him. But I really was scared for him, because when they were coming in or whatever, if you worked around me, I would look you up because I want to see what was around me. And now when I first started there, y'all, I'm 5'3" now, okay? Big stepping, big 5'3", okay? Don't take no inch off of me, okay? But I was 4'11" when I started the prison. Little person. Little person, 120 pounds, wet. You just big head, looking like a walking lollipop. Small, okay? But, they respected me, y'all, like I was 6'3" because I didn't play, but really they could do this to me. But they respect their badge, okay? And they respect how you present yourself. If you present yourself as somebody that can be pushed over and played with, that's what they did. But they knew I was the police and they respected it. Okay, I'm gonna respect your job. I don't like it because you the police, but I don't respect it. But at the same time, they knew if they fell over in the floor, Miss Baker gonna come and help them off the floor. If they have a cold blue, meaning they passed out, they had a mercy, they heart stopped, Miss Baker gonna be down there doing the CPR because some of the nurses were scared to do their job. Like, baby, where did you think you was working at? They were scared of the inmates, okay? So sometimes they wouldn't even do it. It been multiple times I was down there, nigga, you better, and just down there, just breathing life back in them. Cause baby, I don't want to do that paperwork. I don't want to do that paperwork. And I was hard on them, but I ain't want to see nobody die. You feel me? So, I was about my business and they respected it. And the inmates will tell you, you know what I'm saying? They would love for you to be crooked, to bring cigarettes and everything, but they respect whatever you bring. If you crooked, that's how they gonna treat you. If you one way, you mean one, they're not gonna respect you. You're gonna have a hard career. But if you the police, we got it, noted. Clock. We know she police, okay? We know it's something she got us, she gonna follow the book, she gonna follow the rules. She gonna check, okay, cool. When she working, let's say if you a new inmate and you worrying about somebody doing something, they know when Miss Baker on the clock, you ain't gonna do it too much, ain't gonna be able to move. Ain't gonna be able to move because I'm on it. Why you had your head down for 5 seconds? What's going on you? That's not you. You don't never walk around like I was on it. I had learned some of the inmates so much. I knew their routines. I knew just like they was studying you. Because if you don't think they study, y'all, they can tell everything about you. When you had a good night, when you had a bad night, when you're frustrated, when you don't argue with your man. They knew it just by your demeanor. They could pick up on it because that was their goal. Let me pick up on her. Let me talk to her. Oh, she looked like she been fussing and crying before she gave me her eyes puffing. Oh, she weak now. Let me get her. It was always a game. How I'm going to get her. And the game was, let me get her so she can bring me X, Y, and Z and I can live like I want to in her, okay? And when I'm done using her, next, okay? That's the game. But anyway, when I met inmate, I'm about to say officer there. When I met inmate there, he come in the cafeteria. I'm at the card scanner. I don't know what your card reader thing, and I'm swiping the card. So picture a cafeteria and they're coming in and they're lining up on a wall. So they're lining up. I'm standing. They have to walk in like a little ways in. So if they walk into a room, they had to walk all the way down to me. Okay. And I'm down where I'm trying to. Okay, they had the kitchen area, and so basically, okay, they walk in, they come to me, they swipe their card, and then they get in line to get their food. Okay, their food came through this door, so it was like this slider thing that they pulled up. Okay, and their plate will come through this little slide. Okay, they get their plate and they'll go sit down, and I can't remember, but I think they had 10 minutes. They had 15 minutes to eat. Okay, they had 15 minutes to eat. So some people did like they supposed to, then some people you had to shoo out. Okay, you had to shoo out. And the goal was, okay, they come get their card, they go sit down. There was officers that walk around, there was lieutenants and captains that also walked around, and after 15 minutes they cleared it out. And the next, so they will call, let's say they'll call like 3 units at one time. It's on the same unit, but it's like, so if we call pod A, B, C, okay, they come down and eat, okay? After we clear that out, then they call, they call, what's next? DEF, okay? They'll call that side. They'll come eat. And you do it until you do every unit, okay? And remember I said the units were divided by color, like red unit, okay? Then you had blue unit. Then you had green unit, okay? So each unit came down to eat, but we were divided in 3 pods coming down. I hope I explained it. I ain't tricked nobody up, okay? All right, so they called green unit, and this particular inmate was on my unit, and I worked on the green unit. And now at the time, the green unit was a gang unit, so every type of gang that you could think of was on the unit, okay? And that was a unit I worked on. And see, when he first came in, I showed him where his room was at. He was licking his lips then, and they sitting there like, not her. Don't he try that shit for her. Not her. And a few of them like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. They be like, why? She pretty as fuck. They're like, why? She pretty as fuck. Why would I do? What you mean? What y'all gay up in this motherfucker? Like, what? She pretty? Don't do that. You got 4 inmates. Not her. Okay? So I'm in the cafeteria. I'm swiping everybody. I'm swiping out. They call his pod, and he's coming down. He's walking. Got a little stroke to him, like, yeah, coming in there. And I'm like, boy, stop it. You ain't got no chance of me. And I'm like, Lord, because he had been there at the time. He had been there for like maybe 4 days or whatever. But he would come in, and it always was saying a new line. And I was like, no, sir. He was like, that line wouldn't work. And he'll just say anything. Boy, you got to be the finest thing in my eyes has seen. Whew, I'm going to take him out tonight because I don't need to see nothing else. He would say stuff like that. And I'll be like, no. He be like, that ain't work. No, sir. It didn't work. Get your food and sit down. And every day I do, get out my line. I'll tell him, get out my line. Get your food and sit down. Every day he'll come to, and see the boys that were with him, he'd start hanging out with some boys, and they would just laugh at him like, everybody has tried bacons, from captains and lieutenants. So you think you the one? I don't think you the one. And so he would come in there, and he would come in there, and he would come in, and it was an everyday thing. And let me just tell you, fine as wine, Miss Baker, and I want to make you mine. And I'll be like, sir, get out my face. Go get your plate and sit down. Okay, Miss Baker, I will try you again tomorrow. Yeah, keep on. And then you have somebody that I done wrote up be behind them in line and be like, you keep trying that shit with you, she gonna put your name on paperwork. Because she don't know your name right now. And I used to have a saying, if I know your name, you don't want me to make you know your name. Because right now I don't know your name. Because at the time I had no idea what his name was. In my head I'm like, okay, his name is Pretty Ricky, because that's what I'm gonna call him, okay? Or I'm gonna call him Ricky, okay? Something. I'm gonna call him something, because I can't remember all these names, okay? They were Daquan, Shayshawn, Shikapoo, and Shaq and them, and I couldn't remember all them names, and okay, because these mamas, I got my little nail case, Timo, leave me alone. Anyway, so I couldn't remember all these names. It was some Shakadot, and I couldn't remember all these people's names. So in my head, he was gonna be Ricky, okay? That's who I was gonna call him, okay? Because I wouldn't call him Pretty, because if I called him Pretty, man, I had to write him up every day to keep me off of him. Like, boy, get on. So he would come in. So this particular day, when he came in, I'm like, look, you done tried this for about 5 weeks, sir. And clearly people ain't talked to you about it. And so the boy's looking like, okay, she finna write him up. She finna write the day she gonna write him up. I like, can you stop? I am an officer, okay? Now, you might don't respect it because you knew, but inmates don't talk to officers like that, okay? He was like, I'm a man though, Miss Baker. You think you gonna come to a man's prison and won't nobody gonna try you? He said, I'm gonna try every day. He said, I got 20 years. 20 years. I'm gonna try you every day. And then once he said that, it clicked something in me, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna look him up when I get a chance. I'm gonna look him up. And I did, y'all. And I was like, well, for 20 years you can try, and if I'm still at this facility, baby, it's gonna always, boy, go get your food and get out my face. He was like, you gonna keep trying, but I'm gonna weigh you down. I'm like, okay. ask everybody about me. You ain't gonna wear me down. I'm gonna wear you down because you said the wrong thing. He said, I know you gonna do the paperwork. They done warned me. 25 men has warned me. She do that paperwork. Okay. I said, long you got it. Now you have a good day now. And he go. So I go, that was my goal, locked it in. Boom, I'm gonna go look this man up. Because he looked at, if I would look at him, y'all, he looked at young in the face. He looked at like, well, maybe he was 19, maybe he was 21, something like that. He was giving that. And so the next day, because I didn't get him to look him up that day because something ended up happening. I can't remember. I remember looking him up the next day. And I look him up and I'm like reading these charges and I'm like, it's giving, he didn't do this. It's because what the storyline painted out was that this young man was with some people that went to a house and he was the driver. It gave the storyline, me reading it, it gave, hey yo, D, look, I need to go to this house. Can you take me to this house right quick? And then when you take me to this house or whatever, can you take me back home? Woo, 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 woo. And he probably was like, yeah, okay. And took them. And when he took him, you know how you go pick up black people sometimes and they do stuff like, because they used to do that when I was young. You say you need to ride to the store and then 4 other niggas get in the car. Excuse me. I don't know who's going to watch this and you might not be of our creed, but 4 other people get in the car with you and you be like, you asked for you a ride. I don't know these people. I don't let strangers get my stranger alert. I don't let people, because you know, you can go to jail because somebody got something in their pocket when they stop you. So I don't be letting people get in the car with me. You gonna walk. So, who are these people? And that's what it gave. Me reading the story, that's what it gave. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna give you a ride. So he gave a ride to this house. You know, it was his cousins and gave a ride to the house. They went in there and robbed him. Now in the report, it said he didn't know nothing about the robbery, but he heard gunshot, pop, 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 pop. So when they robbed this older man or whatever, they tried to rob this older man, but this older man was asleep and they came in his house. So when they came into the house, what ended up happening was they didn't expect for the old man to fight back, but he was in his chair, he was asleep. But what happened is they killed this old man, okay? He was asleep, then y'all come in the house, try to get stuff, hey, run that, give me all that, woo, 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 woo. And they said he reached down and beside him was, you know, he had a fire on the side of him. And when he shot 2 of them, he got 2 of them, you know what I'm saying? He got 2 of them, okay? But then there was 4 people that was in the house, okay? And then one of those people decided to go ta-ta to the forehead, okay? The scapula, okay? The Ford truck is what I like to call it, okay? Somebody shot the young man, okay? And he was an older man, but I call everybody a young man. Y'all get used to it, okay? But he shot him in the head and he died, y'all, okay? So I'm reading this. I'm like, hey, that's crazy. You gave somebody a ride, and they go in there and do that, okay? Now, after that, again, he in the car, y'all. He hear the gunshots. He don't leave because they ride. Now me, I would have left you and I would have told on you. That was just me. I'd be like, what? Wait a minute, because you asked for a ride. You didn't ask for me to be accessory to no murder now. Because as soon as I would have heard that pop, pop, I would have stopped. Y'all would have known I'm going to tell straight to the police. Look, my cousin had asked me, you know, such and such, their name is this, and that, and call me what you want. I ain't doing no 20. That boy got 20 years for driving. Okay? And so then what happened, you know, read on the case, because the case was long. I was reading all the way through it or whatever. And it basically said that, you know, he didn't tell. He didn't tell what happened. They did an investigation. They put 2 to 2 together. What car he drive. He was a straight A honor roll student, you know, involved in his church. I read everything up there now. Okay? Never did anything. But because he didn't tell, he was accessory to murder. And they told him to tell, because they tell him that he the one did it. Okay? So after they did the investigation, they found out that he didn't do it. He didn't have the gun stuff, you know, the powder and stuff on his head. They found out that he was trying to take up for them, okay? He was facing 30 years. His cousin told him, hey, you ain't gonna get no charges. You know, you a bookworm. Okay, and your people, listen to me. if somebody tell you, hey, you ain't never had no charge, they gonna give you, lay down, do these couple of years, they'll probably give you 5 years to do. Don't do nobody else time. I'm so sick of our community doing that. And there's no snitch. Baby, let me tell you something. They like to say that stitches. Listen to me. They like to say that snitches get stitches, but they get stitches in the prison too, and not for no gun watch room. When I finish with this story, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's not worth it, man. You go in there and people forget about you. You go in there thinking you doing something honorable, not running your mouth about what something happened, and these people gonna live their life while you in there doing time. That little Rico, that the one that actually did it during this time, stop laying down for stupid stuff. Why don't you lay your life down for the Lord? Do that. You want to do something honorable, do that. Lay your life down for the Lord, okay, and serve him so you can go to heaven and not be in a burning hell forever. If that's what we're doing, if we want to do something honorable, because everybody love to say that stitching, but I'm gonna tell you this, they also get battered. They also get bruised. They also get ate. It's a lot of stuff there. They also get beat up. It's a lot of stuff when they go inside. And imagine giving somebody a ride. They go in there and kill somebody, and then you come in, and now we got this storyline. Y'all gonna see. Let me keep on going with the storyline. It made me mad because I saw this story time over and over and over. I met throughout the whole year, all by years. So many of the same young men, always black. Come in, you doing somebody else time. Why? That man, and I watched it. The first 3 months, they holding you down. They putting stuff on your books. They making sure you good. Ooh, making sure you good. You calling, they laughing and joking with you. 4th month, you can barely get them on the phone. 5th month, they ain't answering your letters. 6 months, you hungry because they ain't sending you nothing. They like good riddance. But he on the internet, okay, on Facebook and them, okay, yeah. My dude got no Twitter fingers out. My dude holding us down in there. And that's it. That's all you gonna do. Be a Facebook post every now and then when they feel bad about not holding you down. Okay? Baby, don't be that person. If something happened, tell it. I don't care what nobody say. Now people will be like, I ain't no snitch. I don't know that. Well, go on in there and see can you live life. I guarantee you after a month or two, you gonna want to find something else to do. Anyway, let's get back to the story. So I looked up Mr. Derrick, and when I looked him up, that's what it was saying. You know what I'm saying? And I'm reading the story, and I'm like, so basically he took somebody else's charge. So he tried to later on, redo his case or whatever because he didn't do the crime. They found out he didn't do the crime, but because he did not, he accessory after the fact, they still gave that man 20 years, never been into trouble, ain't never been have a ticket, ain't never had no ticket, okay? Never been in trouble, straight A student, okay? But because he didn't tell, they gave him 20 years. Matter of fact, everybody in the case got 20 years. I think the person that actually shot him and killed him, he got 30 years, okay? Nobody got life. He got 30 years, okay? So, now, with that man said, I kind of felt bad for the young man. Now, I ain't finna bring you no crackers or no cell phone. I ain't finna bring you no drugs because I feel bad for him. But I kind of felt bad for him because on the paperwork, it said he was 21 years old. Now, when I told you, I started when I was 20. So we were around about the same age. So if he was 21, I was 22. And I was thinking like, I could have been that person that gave somebody a ride. I had empathy for him. I felt kind of sorry for him that, this had happened to him because it could have happened to anybody. Okay. And so, he coming in there, I'm thinking like, what I'm going to do is the next time I see this young man, I'm going to give him the game on prison because he ain't never been locked up before. And I'm going to have a one-on-one because every day that we came in, they signed somebody somewhere new. So sometimes you was doing the car rent, but sometimes you can walk around. And when I would walk around or whatever, I would tell them, okay, it's time to go. All right, you done. You look like you done or whatever. You can get up and go. But also, this was a time where you could have a conversation with the inmate. No, you ain't sitting there for hours and hours because they only got 15 minutes. But if I could embark something in somebody, I would. And so I took that opportunity. And then sometimes you'll be on the outside searching inmates or whatever. So we had yard call or whatever, and so we had yard call now. We're doing a walk around. He coming in. I said, look, when you go to yard, I'm gonna walk you to yard. You know what I'm saying? I talked to your mother because you had to talk in code, just like they talked in code. You had to talk in code too, because if they felt like you were too friendly with an officer, they gonna feel like you a snitch. And in prison, if you too friendly with the officers and y'all ain't got nothing going on, then they'll be like, okay, he's snitching. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like, okay, we'll walk to the yard, but talking in code, so the other inmates that's listening, cause everybody listening to everything in prison, everybody on everything. Like if you talking, everybody listens to your conversation, even if they looking over there, they in your conversation. If an officer or anybody is talking, they look. So he was like, I gotta tell you something. I was like, basically, I need to tell you something that you know, I had talked to your mom. And now, why would an officer talk to your mama? Why would I have talked to your mom? They should have known something was up. Mrs. Baker don't break no code, and she don't touch it. But I wanted to give him game. I wanted to give him game so he won't get caught up in penitentiary games, okay? And so I noticed that every time he would come in there, it would always be an older inmate. And let me tell y'all, a lot of the older inmates were bisexual, okay? Okay, they were bisexual, gay, whatever you want to call it, okay? They liked it men, okay? And so they will pay, okay? They will pay to have sex with the men. Now, you might think, how? Why? Huh? So, if I want to get somebody and you're coming in, okay? One method they would do is if you knew you ain't got no money holler on your books, they will put a honey bun, okay? Yeah, the one like you eat, you know, once y'all, somebody probably right now like, ooh, I need one. She said honey bun, I want to go to the store, get one. That honey bun, okay? It don't matter. They had the one with the ice on, the one without, but they will put the honey bun like when you knew you first get in your room and put it on your pillow, okay? If they see you eating that honey bun, you gave them the yes. That's a yes, that you down with the get down, okay? Because if you ate my honey bun, now you owe me your honey bun, okay? The one in the back, they got a little hole. The dookie come out. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to give it to you. Somebody don't catch it, so I had to give it to you raw. Okay, you got it. Okay, let me put some seasoning salt on you. Okay, I had to put a little seasoning salt because I gave it to you raw. Now I got to put some seasoning salt. Okay, you ate the honey bun. They want your ass six. Okay, anybody got it? Everybody got it. I hope all the classes together now. So anyway, so you knew not to put the honey bun. If you would want down with it, you will know to put the honey bun outside of your door and shut your room door, okay? So they'll let you know, hey, whoever gave me this honey bun, I ain't with it. Get somebody else to do, okay? So I noticed multiple people, I've been watching him. He had been there for a couple of weeks now. They keep giving him food. Now you might be saying he was new, you know, maybe they were trying to be nice. Baby, this is prison. There's always a reason behind everything. Why people strangers give you snack? Now, in a woman's prison, it might be different. Somebody might feel bad. Gifts was not a big deal. Men in prison, different story. If I'm giving you a gift, it's because of something, okay? It's because of something, all right? It's because of something now. It ain't like the women prison, okay? They might be just giving snacks to get snacks. I don't know. But I know in the male facility, you got a honey bun on your bed, you eat it at your ass, literally, okay? So I was noticing things. I was starting to notice things. I'm like, yep, somebody's bidding on him quickly. And so there was always an older man. And not to say that every old man in prison is gay. It's some old men, they won't touch a man if you pay them, okay? They would just die, just gonna kill me because I don't want to do it, okay? But a lot of them were. And they will pay the younger cats to hold them down so they can have their way with a young man. So there were cricket guards, okay? There was cricket guards. And the reason why I say that they're cricket, because there's no way for 5 inmates to get in a room and a guard that's up there, that's, unless they're asleep now, because they did that sometime, unless they're asleep on booth, and a guard that's supposed to be, now what the issue is that either the guard is asleep and the person that's supposed to be on the bottom that's watching, They sleep or they're not there because they're in the bathroom, okay? But it's supposed to be somebody in the circle watching and somebody up top watching. So if anything happened, they can act accordingly, okay? So sometimes in prison, they were cricket, both floor and the top, okay? And they were paid to look away, okay? You think, whoa, that happened. Yes, that happened, okay? Now, I won't paid to do anything but do my job. But a lot of the times, people would do that. And see, the inmates would tell me this stuff, and I'd be like, ain't nobody cricket. We got a good facility. Nobody could be paid to do some. I couldn't believe it. My mind was baffled. They was like, Baker, everybody's not the police like you, okay? There's dirt on a few of the officers. And everybody, and they used to tell me that, and I didn't believe them. I'm like, no, I worked there for years. I don't know a dirty officer. Surely not, okay? But if you could pay this officer off, then boom. And if you've been in the prison for years and years and years, pretty sure y'all have the connection. Okay, this one, that one is dirty. She brings this, woo, woo, woo. We definitely pay her to look away, or we gonna tell on her. Whatever the situation, or 3 years ago she did whatever, I'm gonna walk up on her and tell her that, look, at 3 o'clock, look away. Either way, this is how ape happens in the prison. Somebody sleeps, somebody not doing their job, and somebody on cricket, okay? 1, 2, 3, we got it, okay? And so when that happened, that's when, if I'm not strong enough, because most people are not going to sign up to say, hey, let me turn around and get so you can get what you want. No. Most people are going to try to fight. I'm talking about give you everything they got for their manhood. So sometimes people would pay other people to hold you down. And not only would that person get it, everybody in there get it. It's called gang ape. And it's sad. And it happens. So when you think about, I ain't finna tell on somebody, I'm not finna snitch, do you cool with that? You cool with that? Because it happens. If you ever get to a facility and they say, oh, that don't happen here, I've been in the office when that person is crying out for somebody to help them to make this stop. Nothing worse than having to be in the office with those conversations. It's not worth it. If you're watching this and you're participating in things that could land you in prison, stop today. Find you something else to do. Because the trauma people go through being in facilities, even if nobody try you like that, possibly getting beat up, being stabbed, it's not worth it. Dealing with unprofessional officers that treat you like you're not human, which I would hate to see, and I tend to correct it. Yeah. I'm not finna, as an officer, I won't sit there and talk to you for hours. Now, yeah, I used to always say, they're watching us in the sky, so whatever you're trying to say, let's go and speed it up. But I didn't treat nobody like they didn't matter, because they did. We just weren't in the situation where we sit here and kumbaya, okay? So anyway, they will pay for it, okay? So I noticed that this particular fella kept putting himself around him, but see, he looked at the older one. Oh, that's OG right now. That's OG. But OG had it planned for him. Okay, so I told him, okay, so when they do the yard call, just walk with me, whatever. We gonna walk out to the yard, and it was like so let's say from the unit to the yard, let's say it was like a 10-minute walk. Really, not even that. Maybe 8 minutes. Okay. Maybe 8 minutes. Really, they'll tell you after 5 minutes, that's enough talking time between you and the inmate. But I felt like in them 8 minutes, I'm going to run something real quick. Now, I give y'all to y'all little, because I give y'all more than 5 minutes. But I wanted to help him because he was going to be here for a long time. And I already has been there long enough to see the games that people were playing. And I told him on our walk, I'm like, look, I'm going to run this game to you. And I want you to pay attention. And I told him everything that I thought would make him say, told him about the honey buns. I told him about certain snacks. I told him about inmates. I told him about different phrases that I heard when somebody's saying different things, because you might think they mean this, but they mean something completely different. I told him the certain guys that I knew for a fact, you need to watch out about this one. This man is friendly because of this, woo woo. And I told him about different stuff. Within that 8 minutes, I gave him everything that I knew as far as what I observed, so he could be safe in the prison. He looked at me and said, they don't do that shit here. Miss Baker, you tripping. They don't do that shit here. These motherfuckers cool here. I said, okay. But in the happen chance that I am right, because I've been here for a year and probably 2 months, 12 months, and you've been here, 2 months now? In the happen chance that I'm right, you might want to listen to me. He was like, man, I think about it. I was like, okay, cool. I walked away. Did my job, made sure they were good, made sure won't nobody fight out there on the yard. They went back in. Treated him like every time I saw him, it won't no another 8 minute here, 8 minute. No, there was a one-time opportunity. I'm trying to tell you, so so when he would come in, he still was doing the same thing. Miss Baker, you finer than a woo 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 woo. I just stopped being down, because he never said nothing that was so inappropriate he had to be written up for. It just was, we knew he was gonna come in there with punchline, and I'm like, we're gone. And so one particular day, probably let's say like 4 months after that conversation, he came in. And when he came in, I'm gonna say I've been in the game for like a year, but I still won't season enough to not to say certain things, because I came from a world, if I was bad enough to say it, I said it. And because the inmates were so mouthy, sometimes I did not think about some of the things that I said, because they'll say whatever. I'm talking about they say whatever on their mind or whatever. So he came in, and I'm making jokes here and there. Like like I said, talked about, sometimes you could find appropriate times to might crack a joke here and there, because whoever you are, you bring it to the prison, and it actually helps. But you got to know when to do it. It's like properly timed. Okay, so I like to tell jokes, but I got to make sure it's okay to do it. Okay, and sometimes you knew when you're interacting with people, And so he's still doing the LA Cool J, but this particular day he walks in, and I know that he ain't got a stroke to his walk. He ain't got no stroke to the walk. When he came in the line, his head was down. And these are signs that something is going on, whether somebody got. And so then I noticed that he used to have like long nails, not long as mine, but he had like long fingernails. I seen like 2 nails, and as you start working in the office, you can see everything. Like you get to picking up everything. He's walking, and he don't got no stroke no more. He's walking more like he's hurt. And then he has scratches on his neck. I know it was one day it was scratches on one side, then there was scratches behind his ear, and another day went by, but y'all never made no eye contact. And people said, hey, Pretty Ricky, you ain't got no line, you ain't got no line for Miss Baker today. And we got used to her showing you on about your way. And he was like, nah, I'm cool on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool on that. Miss Baker done showed me she don't want me on wasting my time. And he ain't say nothing else. He put his head down, get his tray, go eat, go on by his business. So one particular day, I'm not on the swiping car. I'm walking around. And some of the inmates were really legitly funny, and they would say different things, and was appropriate enough where they had captains and lieutenants and stuff laughing. You just knew after you mingle with the inmates around, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, okay? And so they'll be talking about ball game, different stuff like that. And I usually don't interject. I just listen to them talking, making sure I'm not missing nothing, because some people, while you sitting there talking, they talk about stuff, they really trying to distract you over here because they doing something over there. So you just gotta be careful careful. And in the cafeteria is the most dangerous place to be because it's an open place for opportunity. If I got beef with you and I got beef with you, I can have a shank on me and I can say, what's that shit you said? And then run down on everybody with the shank. And shanks are homemade weapons that they will use that can kill you, okay? If they hit you in the right artery, okay, they hit you in the right artery enough, you'll be gone from here, okay? Depending how, and they made nice better than Deca, okay, or whatever the company is. I'm telling you, they were nice, okay? So my thing is like this: you had to pay attention while you telling that joke. You better be watching everybody. And I used to be on everything, like, okay, I wasn't looking like this, but I was walking around like, while they trying to tell me a joke over here, I was looking over there, and that's just how it was or whatever. But I noticed his behavior, and I was like, yo. They didn't got that more. And so one day, you know, I'm like, no, he don't tell me no. I just made a conversation. I was like, yeah, he don't tell me no jokes no more. I said, he don't tell me no jokes. It looked like somebody got hold of him. Like, I slid it out my mouth. And as soon as I slid it out my mouth, I knew I was wrong. Because this man got up. Now, they could not get up without our permission. If they got to get up and go back to the window, they got to ask somebody. This man got up, and at this time, like where they were sliding out this tray, sometimes there were mops. And when after this event, they took all the mops and brooms and stuff out of the kitchen. And notice, I'm going to say at this time they were clearing out. So let's say there's 24 inmates still eating. Everybody's clearing out, okay? And as soon as I said that man got up, I said, hey, where you going? He got up and took this mop, y'all, and started swinging it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The inmates, everybody looking like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So a couple of inmates get up, start running, get out. So then the captains and lieutenants, they running and they call a code. Because he was like, Becky, you got me fucked up. He's swinging this thing. Whoosh. Ooh, she's swinging this thing. You got me fucked up. You got me fucked up. I'm gonna fuck you up. And I'm thinking like, what did I say? You know what I'm saying? Even though I had said that, and even though he clearly had scratches up there, he was a bright light skin, and he looked like he had been in a fight, in a scuffle. And I was like, yeah, they finally got hold of you, ain't it? And I said in a joking manner, and I knew instantly, you weren't supposed to say that, girl. This man is in full swing. So the captains and them running there because they're on the outside, you know, they outside patting people down and stuff. Like once they see that, they call a code. Okay. Now when they called the code, I'm not sure what code they called because he hadn't did any, even though the aggression was towards me, he hadn't. It was code 7 is when an inmate is on a what's the name? Inmate is on a staff member, but I'm not sure what they called, but I'm gonna say they called the code 7. And so once they called the code 7 or whatever, they cleared all the inmates. Hey, get out, everybody out, leave your stuff where it's at, go. So they cleared all the inmates out. There was people in the hallway, make sure all the inmates go back to their unit, and we're in there, okay? And he's still swinging. Now, if you picture, this is the cafeteria was a pretty big cafeteria, and where I'm at, I'm by like a walls and a window glass that's kind of about close to going on the outside, okay? So when him swinging this, I'm talking about he's now as they clearing the stuff. I haven't moved because I'm just looking at him and he just keeps saying my name. Baker, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I'm like, you know, in my head, why? And then I'm thinking like, you talked about his neck being scratched. Somebody got him. Oh, he won't fight about it. Okay. And I'm like, hey, chill. Just calm. You know what I'm saying? Just calm down. Whole time, I'm not knowing what has happened to this young man. And so he was like, you got me fucked up. You got me fucked up. And he kept saying, you got me fucked up. But when everybody cleared out, he started crying. He was like, you got me fucked up, Baker. And he's swinging. They were like, the captain was like, just put the broom, look, put the mop down, because he had a mop. Put the mop down, because if you come swinging and you actually connect with somebody, we're going to have to put our hands on you. So put the mop down, let's talk about it, you know, Officer Baker. So I started walking towards. If you have an altercation like that and that person is mad at you, you might not be the person that need to be talking. But see, all my peers that came in there and people of importance is in there now, and I done did this thing, so I'm trying to clear it up. So I'm like, this is not how you usually act. Are you upset about the comment I made? He was like, I'm here fighting for my life. And you're making jokes. And I'm here fighting for my life. and he was screaming, y'all. I'm talking about to the top of his lungs. He was screaming, and I instantly felt bad because I'm like, oh, okay, so okay, I won't supposed to say that, and then this is a real situation. He's like, no, I'm gonna fuck you up. And so it was like he was doing all that. He was still swinging and stuff, but then when he started yelling, he'll put the mop down. But then every time somebody will come close, because people who were walking in close to him, he'll start swinging it again. No, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that. And he's upset. And I'm like, well, you know what? Everybody make mistakes, and maybe I was not supposed to say anything about the scars on your neck. As soon as I said somebody's scars on the neck, shit ain't happened to me. Fuck y'all. Fuck all y'all. I'm gonna get you, Baker. Everything was written for me. So Baker might need to shit up. So the captain, I'm walking towards him because, like I said, he doing all this stuff in front of my peers, and I did this, so I want to make it right, okay? And I apologize. I was like, well, I'm sorry that I said this thing to you. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was much more to that. I said, you know how I am. And he was like, you know what, Becky? You just don't know. You just don't know. And so while he calm, we still trying to walk up towards. But the captain, I'm kind of like in the front. So it's kind of like a triangle. It's like I'm in the front. The captain and the lieutenant is right here. Some sergeants is right here, and there's officers behind us. But I'm in the front, and I'm the one that's trying to talk. So what happens is when there's an altercation, they try to get the person, whoever first started the stuff, people just kind of back that person up. But if that person can't handle it, they kind of like shoot you out the way. Okay, so every time I said something, it was like I'll calm him down and then he would get upset. I'll calm him down and then he'll get upset. And at the time, I was just learning how to de-escalate a situation, and this was my fault. So I didn't need to be talking, but I tried to fix the situation. So when the captain saw, baby, we gonna have to be fighting up in here because you pissing him off. Okay, so what they did was the captain got close enough to me. So if he is sitting where y'all are sitting at, and I'm right here, okay. The captain kind of was like, well, Officer Baker has said that she apologized for what she did, and if you talk to us, the captain is talking now, and he kind of put me behind him, and I'm thinking like, hi, he's smooth. He kind of put me behind him, and then started backing up, like taking his heels and backing me up, kind of like, girl, you finna get fucked up. Back up. Back up. This man he got the devil in his eyes, and y'all, his eyes was bloodshot, red. You could see all the veins in it and everything. He was really upset, and he was like, I don't want, and he just started screaming, I did not want to be here. I didn't even do my crime. I did not come here for this. And he's just crying out, but he's not saying what's going on. And the captain said, well, we could just talk. We can just talk. He's like, I can't talk to you in here. I can't talk to the police about what's happening to me. And then he just kept on talking, and I can't talk to y'all. If I talk to y'all, it's against code. And so before you know it, everybody done walked in. They grabbed the stuff. They kicked the bucket because it was a bucket out the way, and they done put him down on the ground. And when they put him on the ground, he started crying instantly. He was like, ow, 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 ow. And so we looking like, so if somebody put your hands behind your back, it ain't supposed to hurt that much. So they noticed, like, when they put him down or whatever, he got bruises all over his, right here on his side. He got bruises. It looked like somebody beat him with a whip. He got lacerations all over his back. Okay, he got scratches. He got like little scratches on his neck, but he got scratches and stuff all on his lower abdomen, and it just looked terrible. As soon as they it just looked like whelps that were here. It looked like he had been in many altercations. Some were hidden, some were fresh, and it just looked so terrible that they just got him up. You know what I'm saying? They was like, just put your arms in front of you, and we're gonna put, the handcuffs on in front of him. He was like, I ain't gonna hurt. He was like, I would never hurt Baker. I would never hurt Baker. She's one of the realest in here. But Baker, you hurt my motherfucking feelings. And he got his arms in front of him. You hurt my motherfucking feelings. Everything you fucking said was true. This is a hellhole. I ain't asked for all this. And he just started crying and stuff like that. And then he was trying to take his cup and wipe his face because he didn't want, because it was multiple females in there too. He didn't want nobody to see him crying or whatever. And so the captain said, we're going to take you in my office. Won't nobody be in there but the captain, lieutenants, and and we want nobody in there. He said, I want Baker in there too. I'm thinking like, bruh, didn't you just say I hurt your feelings and you just swinging all day? Now you want me in there? And so they looked at me like, come on, Baker, like, ow. And I'm thinking like, I don't want to go because we get in that office. The office ain't that big. That man might go ape shit on me. I ain't trying to go in there. I already messed up. So we get in there and he started telling us. He started telling us about everything that was happening. He said for the last 4 weeks, every night at about 3 o'clock, he got to fight for his life. He was like, it's multiple men that has came in there and he fought. And he said at first it was just fighting them off. It wasn't nothing but fighting. Then he was like, there are multiple men. It was like this older man, and he told us, the man name, who he was. He was like, he aped him. And then he was like, he brought his homeboy in there. He fighting. And I know for a fact he fought for his life, because it was multiple inmates that just were popping up with knots on their head, black eyes. Because the young man, he was a young man, but he could fight. He could fight real good, because he was messing these men up. But he was fighting every day and not telling nobody. Because had he opened up his mouth, eventually we would have just shipped him off somewhere. But he never did. I guess he felt like he could handle the situation. As a man, somebody try to do something, you handle the situation. So he fought. So he'd been fighting for 4 weeks. Different times he'll say, sometimes at 2, sometimes at 3, sometimes at 4. But he was like, the officer downstairs will be, and the cricket officer be up there, or it'd be vice versa. Like, hey, can you open the door? Woo, 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 woo. And they were doing stuff to his door that even if he closed it, it'll still pop open. And he had to fight. He was like, 4 men did something to him. And so while we in this office, they told me, because I was the only female in there, to turn around. I'm thinking like, oh, what they finna do to old boy? He said they been through enough. What y'all finna do? They made me turn around, and when I turned around, everybody gasping, and they was like, well, pull, because he was like, I want to show you what they doing to me. And he took his clothes off, and they just showing. And it was like, yeah. When they did the gas, and y'all, I wanted to look so bad, but the gas that everybody did or whatever, it was like, okay, Baker, we're gonna get you, and we're gonna get you and officer such and such to take him to the hospital. So they told him to sit down, but he was not able to sit down. He was not able to sit down at all. When they pulled his shirt up, there was blood coming from his shirt. He had on a gray t-shirt and brown pants. And even with that little bit, you could tell that, he had tried to doctor himself up to the best of his ability, but his welts were bleeding at this particular time just from him swinging the thing. And he kept on saying over and over, Baker, you try to tell me and I ain't listening. Baker, I thought these men were being nice. You try to tell me I ain't listen, man. He was like, I be hungry. Even after y'all feed me, I still be hungry, man. And they knew what to say. They knew I was a young nigga, man. They knew I was a young nigga, man. And, they asking him questions. Well, how many people do you think that did this to you? And, he was like, probably over 6 people. And he was like, I fought. I've been fighting for 4 weeks, man. I've been fighting for 4 weeks. And he was like, well, why you just didn't tell nobody? He was like, man, they say everybody's cricket here, man. Everybody's cricket. There's like different people are working for different people. And I ain't want to tell, and you don't help. He was like, well, I've been here, the captain was not cricket at all. He was very honest, still, he's a warden over a female prison now, and he told him, and he was like, well, if everybody in this room cricket, I ain't cricket. I'm not cricket, and we're going to get you help. And so they called, because in order to take the inmate, we have to follow the ambulance. So they have to call the ambulance. And so once they call the ambulance, he has to go to intake. Once he goes to intake, this is the way that the inmate goes out to the van. They put him on the vehicle that we take them to the hospital. And we took him to the hospital. And when we took him to the hospital, They did the examination. Now, in this room, we are not to take, as when an officer takes the inmates to the hospital, we are not to leave the room. So we hear everything. And when I say everything, we hear everything. So they made me turn around in the office, but I did not turn around in there. And I should have turned around in there, because it looked like, when we got in there, that he's telling them that he was assaulted by multiple people within a 4 weeks time. And the doctor gasped at all the bruises and the whelps and different things. They were using also, they were lighting him with fire. They used every type of torture. They were lighting him with fire some nights. They were beating him with fists, beating him in the side, And he told all the gruesome stories. And I was just like, my God, and to be a young person in prison and you have to bear that, and he was like, I just don't understand. These are gang members. This is supposed to be gets cold, and they're doing this stuff to me. He was like, I just don't want to be here no more, and he's just going through all that. So, they got a psychiatrist involved. He got a lot of help in the prison. In the hospital. And so after they discussed, showing us everything that showed him, and, they showed his backside, y'all, his anus was hanging out. It was hanging out. Yep. And blood. And so, they laid him on his stomach, and they, I look, but out of respect, I turned, I couldn't turn my back because he's still an inmate, and, we don't want him to try anything. And our goal is to protect the staff that are there, the general public. And, but I turned so he could have his dignity. And, there was another male officer, never blinked. He was overly concerned, and he kept saying, I'm sorry this happened to you, man. I'm sorry that this happened to you, man. And all that young man would say Derek would say, thank you. Because some people just act like they could care less. So the doctor said that after looking and examining everything, he was going to need 32 stitches. And to have the surgery, and they were going to do everything that day, and he would have to be in the hospital for over a month to heal properly. So the young man ended up being in the hospital for 3 months to properly heal. And after that, so that should tell you everything, how severe it was. And so he stayed there for 3 months. He did not come back to our facility. He came back to our intake, but he did not come back in as far as going back into the general population. He came back into our intake, and then they shipped him from there to another facility. Now, the same particular inmate, I left the prison. If you have been following the story time, I ended up leaving the prison because I opened up a salon, and it just became too much, y'all. Being a full-time salon owner, having to deal with everything that you got to deal with in business, and then trying to work 12 hours, I just couldn't do it. So, at the time I was married, and, I went on about my business, okay? And I stopped working for a couple of years, and I decided to come back when I was offered a case manager position at a different prison at Bertie Correctional. And when I came back, he was the second inmate I saw when I did the walkthrough, as far as my stuff. And when I was there, of course, my name changed from Baker to Stancil. And so, because I had got married, I'm currently not married, but I had got married for 5 years. It was a wonderful time. We had fun time in the sun, but that's a tale from another story. But I ain't gonna say it crashed and burned, but I'm gonna just say it's over now. Okay, so anyway, I'm walking, I'm in programs, I'm learning my job or whatever, and they had to go to class, and they were showing us, this is where the inmates go to class and this stuff. So he had signed, he was walking to class, and he was like, Baker, that's you. And so I hadn't seen, at the time, I'm going to say like maybe 3-4 years went by and I hadn't seen this young man. All I knew that he was, he looked it well though. He looked happy. He was coming down the hallway laughing and giggling with this other young man. And, when he saw me, he kind of froze, but he spoke. And I was like, is that him? Because he looked a little, when I first met him, he looked like, a regular, normal, light-skinned guy with, he was kind of small and stature. But it looked like he had been lifting the weights. His arms was kind of big. And I was like, yeah, he been in it. Yeah, he been in the field. He been at war. And so we got an opportunity to talk because I had to walk him back to his unit one day. And he told me, you saved my life, Baker. He said, I went to 3 different prisons since the last time I saw you. And he said, ain't nobody touched me and ain't nobody gonna touch me. He's like, I've been in altercations and I beat people to the pulp. I will never let nobody violate me like that. But he said, because of you changed my life. Not only did you try to help me, since I've been here, you're the only one that's ever tried to be like, hey yo, you need to tighten up. He was like, nobody did not say, hey, they seen me giggling with these men. They seen me like Ayo paying homage to this older man, cause I'm looking at him out of respect because he's an older man. Whole time he a predator. He was like, he got counseling. He wrote a book about it, and his book was on sale currently. Now he won't try to sell me the book, but I did go out there look. I did not read the book, but y'all, his book was doing good in numbers. I'm like, he out there making bread about his altercation. And y'all, to the life of me, I can't remember what the name of the book, but it was something about in prison, the real life of prison or something, shattered dreams and something like that. I don't want to give y'all too much. I don't want y'all put two together. But anyway, he wrote a book and his book was making numbers, so he didn't have to depend on anybody on the outside to give him anything because he was getting that money. Now how he worked that out, I told him don't tell me, but he was like, no, it's legit. And he had went to this camp and that they showed them how to make money from the inside and how they could get their money sent to their books. It was legit. I found out that he won't lie about it. But either way, I was proud of him. He took a negative situation and made it work for him. And he ended up being it because he wasn't on my caseload, but he made sure he was on my caseload. And when I say just walking in on him and he taking the class that he was taking, because he was taking a communication class, and you could tell that he was learning stuff, and and every opportunity he get, Becca, if there's anything you need to tell me about this prison, just let me know, because I know you can give me the full. I said they killers here, everybody killing people. Okay, the only thing I know about this prison, they kill them. Over there, they were rapists. Okay, over here they kill somebody. So you get an altercation now. If you ain't ready to die about it now, you might need to stay out of the way. He was like, yeah. He was like, but he had been in that prison for like 2 years, and he was like, yeah, it's a lot of killers here. He's like, but for the most part, a lot of stuff like that it happened, but you knew who were the people that did it, so you kind of just stayed clear of them people. And if you had to be, you go ahead and give them all you got and stuff like that. But he told, he was telling me he was doing good, and he was on my caseload for about like maybe 8 months or whatever, and then he ended up shipping somewhere, and he told me he was going because he had worked himself all the way down. So let's say he had worked himself down to medium custody. Okay, so that's the goal, to work your way, because we were in a closed custody prison, to work yourself to medium custody so that you can get more perks, like you can do different things, you can get a job like on the outside, so you're readying yourself to get closer to home, and you get more privileges than the people in the closed custody. So he was real excited. He told me, yeah, I don't work my custody level down. He was like, yeah, I'm getting closer to the door. But he had worked on his case too, and they had changed his 20-year sentence down to 11 years. So by the time this happened, he had already been in there a couple of years before he met me. So, well, no, he hadn't been in there a couple of years. He's been there like a couple of months. So during this span, let's say we gonna just say he done 6 years at this time, okay? And they put his 20-year sentence all the way down to 10 years. So what they were saying, when I had it, because we call in and check on the dockets and check on the case and stuff like that. Basically, what was said to me is that if he has good behavior, that he could possibly get out the following year. So prior to him leaving and going to another prison, we learned that he would only have 1 more year of prison. And I was very happy for him. And he was one of those them stories where he took the opportunities that he got to better himself. He took them seriously because he knew he was going home. But I did like that I got to see him again and knew that he was doing all right. He told me that, he had to have 3 surgeries. Okay. So the surgery that I was in, he had to go back 6 months later having another surgery, and then he something ruptured on the inside of him and he had to go back and have another surgery. And I was like, okay, I don't want to hear no more. When he told me that, I didn't want to hear no more. And they knew me. If it was something gruesome, don't tell me. I believe you. Okay, I'm good. And the crazy thing about it, I was like that where I didn't want to hear it. But y'all, we was around people cutting people, stabbing people. I was seeing blood all the time. And I would look at it and it would be just like if you would just say hey to me. Like, it didn't affect me at all, but I didn't want to hear about nothing. Okay, don't tell me nothing unless we doing some paperwork. You want to make this a statement so we can go and get you out of here. But he just thanked me. He knew when he knew, because they didn't tell you when you were gonna ship. They told you the estimate ride, because you can't tell no inmate when they about to ship, because they might be planning somebody to meet in the middle of the road and get them out. So they didn't tell him. So they told him, around about April sometime, you're gonna get shipped to this camp, but it'll be May when they gonna tell you did one day, so you gonna go another day. And so he told me bye, just in case I don't see you, and I ain't see him no more. But I was so happy, and I went back and looked up on the case, and he's already home. He don't have no probation. And last time I seen him, he came up on my news feed. He had got married and he had a beautiful family, and he was going around, doing outreach, talking to young men about not going to prison. Okay, so he changed his life. He had learned a trade inside, so he was working construction. He had started his own business, as well as he was doing the books. Okay, so from what I've seen, now I ain't seen this. This was like 2 years ago when he came against he looked like he's taking life serious and he's doing what he needs to. A lot of inmates, they get out and they do the same crimes over again, and then they usually come back or they die from doing a crime, being involved in shootings and different things. So it's always good when we hear a positive turnaround from this. But I say this story to say this: choose to make the right decisions today, because this is a sad story that happens every day. Sad to say, but this is a sad story that happens every day. Anyway, I hope that, I usually would say, I hope y'all enjoy this story. I hope that you made it to the end of this story time, and I hope that you will join me on the rest of my prison story times. Anyway, love you so much for clicking play. I will see y'all on the next video. Bye, bestie. Thanks for watching. And please, if you're committing crimes, stop. I don't want my besties ruining their lives by making terrible decisions or trying to be nice and help. This man, they asked him for a ride. He was just trying to be nice to his family. If you know your family is usually up to some cricket stuff, it's all right to say, no, I'm busy. I got to work, or I ain't available at that time. Sometimes just say no, okay? Anyway, love you, bye. See y'all on the next one. Bye, bestie. Bye.